Good morning. Welcome back to Learn Japanese. We're out here in the park. We're enjoying the spring and summer vibes. Alright? Surrounded by the flowers, the wildlife, the birds, the bees, the humming and the hawing, and the mint chocolate chip. Take me there. There it is. Well, we got the mints, but where's the chocolate chip? Chocolate chip is the vocab. And that's what we always jump right into, so let's go. First vocab for today is Thailand. And it's really easy. Alright, get your notebooks out. Start up your rotation. Rev the rotation engines. You get in your motorcycle right now. Vroom. We're gonna just start it right up with Thailand, and it's just that easy. Thai. Okay, it's just two katakana characters, ta and e. Thai for Thailand. All right. Get it in there. Rev your engines with Thailand, and then move straight into China. All right, we're continuing on with countries. Remember that was the theme from last time, because it's pretty much what we're ending the chapter vocab with. All right, we had Kangoku, South Korea last time, and you'll see next, if you're using this notepad version that you downloaded from one of those sites, it might only have China in there next, and then it tells you, oh, now it's lesson 2. Just follow along with what I'm showing you, okay? Some of the lists out there, depending on what site you use, some of them are missing a few on the bottom, and some of them aren't. So, do Thai first, okay? And then we're gonna do China, and then we're gonna do a few more that this list actually doesn't have. And if you don't do them, it's not a huge deal. They're just countries, but you should know them because the book wants you to know them right now, okay? And so, China, as you'll notice, is 2 kanji characters, and it's also not called China. Newsflash, it's not called China in Chinese either. Actually, I'm fairly certain it's the same kanji in Mandarin. Zhongguo would be in Chinese, but we're not learning Chinese, we're learning Japanese. So sound it out right here. Take a look at your hiragana. And what does it say? Chi, but we notice we've got the little u right there, so it's not chi, it's chu. Remember, kiss kiss, chu? Well, this doesn't mean kiss, all right? Chu is a pronunciation used in many other different words, so be careful with that. Chu u goku, all right? Remember Beikoku, United States, Beikoku? In that case, it was ko, right? This is, you notice we got a little 10-10 action going there. This is go. So this is chu, right? Chu, u, goku, chu goku, right? When you got the 2 u's there, when you got something with a little u, and then it follows up into a u, for beginners that might sound unnatural when they try to pronounce it, but look, you just say chu goku, as opposed to chugoku, because that would not mean China. All right, you're just holding the tone a little bit here, right? And I actually get the question, well, what's the difference between this little u sound and nobasu, right? Like holding the tone. There's not a huge difference. Look, if you're a linguist, you're probably go on about, well, actually, Valen, no, there's a very big difference. You know what? Go watch Dogen. All right, if you want to learn, if you're advanced past my lessons and you want to learn, what's the word? Not pronunciation, like what is the word? I don't know. It's how to really nail the sounds of your Japanese. I know this word is going to come to me as soon as I close the stream. I'm going to remember it, but Anyway, it's not a huge difference between these two for now, until you're in the advanced level, so don't worry about it, alright? You're gonna sound mostly the same anyway. Anyway, Valen, how do we write China? Well, China. Come on over to Jisho. Type it in. Chu Goku. Space. There it is. China. Okay, we see we got the two kanji right here. We click them. Very easy. Okay? It's a box with a line down the middle. And you know why? Because this means inside, but more importantly, middle or center. This word, or this kanji character, can be used in many different words that have some kind of meaning related to middle or center. Okay. Or in or inside or something like that, right? As a matter of fact, used just by itself, it is also a word that means inside, and it's pronounced that way as naka, right? Sometimes it's pronounced uchi or chu or whatever. Anyway, let's check the stroke order, shall we? It's just the box. The usual box. Line down the center. Boom, done. Let's do it. 1, 2, all one part there. 3, 4. Okay, true, and that is so big. It's huge. All right, I like going big. What can I say? Hey, this, how many times have we done this now? Like 3 or 4 times now. You should have the hang of this, right? Country. Used by itself, again, it is pronounced kuni, which just literally means country. But if it's attached to a kanji before it, in most cases to mean the name of a country, like Beikoku, the United States, Kankoku, South Korea, or in this case, Chugoku. All right, so it's not Chukoku. Be careful with that. It's not Chukoku, right? It's Chugoku. All right, so look, here it is again if you need it. But you should have this in your rotation done many times by now, I hope. Boom. Done. All right. Started off with the usual box, right? But then before you close the box, remember, you get in there and you start doing the inner bits. Okay? Boom. Sloppy. Don't care. Done. Chugoku. China. Okay, that's it. Now you know how to say China. And yeah, why is it Chugoku? Look, if you want some trivia, remember I just told you this means like middle or center, and this means like country. Way back when the name in Chinese was formed, these were like the central states of China, as opposed to the like like the tribes and territories around the central states. Okay, so that's, if you want to know why, there you go. That's just for you, okay? Let's move on. Germany. Well, again, very easy. Katakana. What do we got? Do. I. Tsu. All right, this is not she, right? If you're still having trouble seeing the difference, because they're very slightly different, right? Tsu. Remember, tsu is more vertical, she is more horizontal, right? See the difference there? Anyway, this is... Deutsche, Germany. Okay. That's it. Very easy, so let's move on. Oh, more kanji. And look, if you don't know this one in Japanese, you're in trouble. In big trouble. You won't even be able to say the word Japanese, or Japan for that matter. Obviously, it is Japan. And is Japan called Japan in Japanese? No. Well, some Japanese people might say Japan when they're talking to a foreigner because they might think that you don't know Japanese. And that's a whole other can of worms, because then it confuses the foreigner that doesn't know Japanese, and then they end up thinking that they do call it Japan Japanese. Just stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. Foreigner that doesn't know Japanese, learn Japanese. Japanese person speaking to the foreigner, speak regular Japanese, please. Everybody come together. Stop the confusion. Stop the hate. Okay? Anyway, what is it in Japanese? Well, read the hiragana. That's why it's there. We've got ni, ho, right? Ni, ho, Nihong. Nihong is Japan. And before we even move on, I know I'm already going to get people asking, wait a minute, Valen, what about Nippon? Okay, explanation time. This one is the one you should learn right now and associate with these characters. Whoops. This one also is the same thing. This also means Japan and also uses the same characters. And you might ask, well, how do I know when to pronounce it differently then? Well, because this is advanced. Okay, so until you're at the advanced level, just use this and don't worry about it, because I'm going to tell you, this one has nuance. It has connotation behind it, and a lot of the time, it's used when people are being nationalistic or like over-the-top patriotic, or they're a government employee, like speaking before the public and trying to be like very, strong about their country. Nippon, right? And in the worst case scenarios, this also has like some, it can also stir up war connotation stuff. Like, anyway, it's nationalistic. And it's nationalistic in an innocent way, and also can be used in a kind of, aggressive way. So until you're at the advanced level where you can tell the difference and know the proper timing and place and when to use this, just don't. This one is nice no matter what. It's never going to get you in trouble. It doesn't have those, any kind of like deep connotation of its own or nuance or anything. Just use Nihon. If you throw a character right here, that's go, you would then say Japanese language, right? And you know how that would be pronounced? Nihongo. It would not be pronounced Nippongo. Although, technically it could, almost nobody would ever say that. So, anyway, use this one, it's the safe option, and let's go check the stroke order. Nihon. Yeah, by the way, what happens if you type Nippon and then press space? You get the same thing, just like I told you, okay? You'll even see here in the Jisho, the pronunciation guide they give you is Nihon. And you'll see other forms. Same kanji, Nippon. Okay? So this is the other form, it's not the main one. Everybody likes to say, yeah, but it's called Nippon, I know that. I know the thing that other people don't know. Good. Give yourself a little pat. I'm very happy that you know that. Okay? Anyway, very easy to write. What do we got here? Ni. In this, well, by itself it's not pronounced ni. It's pronounced ni in this, what are you doing, Valen? This, compound of two kanji. This word. Word is the word you're looking for. And it's just a box with a shelf. Okay, we've done this as part of many other kanji, haven't we? That's it. And you'll see here it says day or sun, Japan, counter for days. I'll go over the meanings here in a second, but let's just do Japan first, okay? First kanji here, 2, shelf, and 4. Okay, that's it. Ni. And what do we got for Hong? You'll see here, there's all sorts of things. Book, present, main, origin, true, real, counter for long cylindrical things. Anyway, this is intermediate. I wouldn't consider it advanced. You'll get there. But for now, most of the time when you see this, the beginner level, it's going to mean book. But today, I'm going to tell you that the meaning it's being used for in the word Japan, or Nihon, is actually origin. We'll see that in a second. Let's check the stroke order here. All right, give it a cross, give it some wings, and then give it the little, I don't know what that is. It's a branch or something. There you go. There we go. Nihon. All right. Nihon. Japan. Okay, and so, like I was telling you about the meanings that I would go over, this one by itself, if we took this out of this word and just wrote it all by itself, all by its lonesome, it could be read as hi, which could mean day, or, so it could be used as sun as well, I suppose. And it could also be nichi, which is, like, for example, nichiyobi would be Sunday or something like that. Not something like that. It is Sunday. Stop saying something like that, Malin. But anyway, what is actually going on here? I hear a lot. People say, you know what, Japan, you know what the word Nihon means in Japanese? It means sun book. No, it doesn't. It's because they've taken the beginner meaning of this kanji to mean book. That is correct, but Japan does not mean sun book. It means like sun origin, right? The origin of the sun. And why is that? Because from the Chinese perspective, where kanji and stuff has originated from, of course, Chinese, way back when the language was first being originated, from the perspective of people in China, Japan, to the east of them, is where the sun rises. And so Japan was the origin of the sun. In other words, in Japanese, if we pronounce it, Nihon. Okay? And this also is where Land of the Rising Sun comes from, okay? It's not just some poetic stuff that some guy just, he was sitting there, he was drinking his tea one day, and he was just having a good time. And you know what? Land of the Rising Sun's got a good ring to it. Nihon. That's what we call ourselves, all right? And we'll also close our country for the next several 100,000 years. Bye. That's not what happened, okay? It's the origin of the sun. That's why the name is the way it is. And that's it. Nihon, all right? You've done it. There you go. That's not all. We've got two more, but they're easy, I promise, all right? And then we're going to get on to today's practice. Some fun practice for you, all right? What do we got next? France, all right? And how is it pronounced in Japanese? Probably closer to the French. It's pronounced France. France, right? And again, be careful with this, because this is not so, right? So, there's the difference. Keep practicing that if you're having trouble, okay? So is more vertical. Is more horizontal, okay? Okay, France. That's it, France. Very good, very good. Let's move on. And last for today, Brazil, which is pronounced in Japanese as, what's this? Got ten, bu, da, ji, ru. Because there is no Z in Japanese. There's no Z sound or character, okay? Although you might sometimes see people when Japanese people are sometimes writing using the Japanese style of writing romaji, or alphabet characters, they might sometimes write this instead of this. And when you, as a native English speaker, or whatever native you are, go to read this, you probably read it as Z, but it's actually G in Japanese. So this is a whole other subject that I've briefly mentioned before, but there's two major ways of writing Japanese in alphabet characters, and this would be I believe it's called the Hepburn method, the Hepburn style, which is the way this is how you should write it, and how Japanese people should write it if they want native English speakers to pronounce things correctly. This is the Nihonshiki, or Japan style or method, or however you want to pronounce that. So anyway, that's why we use G here, Okay, and there's a little note on how it could be spelled. If you might see it spelled a different way in alphabet characters. So this is Brazil. Brazil. Okay, Brazil. That is Brazil. And that is the end of vocabulary for today. So let's move on to activities. Oh, we've got a brand new cast of characters to show you. So what are we doing? Remember last time I told you all about Renshu. What was this again? Chapter 1, practice. Remember we did practice A? Well, guess what? We've graduated to practice B. Give yourself a round of applause. Yeah. Because, here's what's going down. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you. Here on the episode, we're actually going to go through this pretty quickly, because how I want to structure this is I want you to do it in your notebook. And you're going to pause when I tell you to pause and do it in your notebook if you're following along. And then when you're done doing it, you can unpause and I'll go over the answers and try to explain why things are the way they are. Okay, but that's just wait. Hold your horses on that. It's not yet. We're not pausing right here. I got things to say. Number 1. You might remember Mr. Taylor, our favorite American. We got some more peeps here now. We got some more people on board. Let's check out the names here. Well, we've got Taylor. So we know we're using last names here. We're not throwing the first names, just last names. Mr. Taylor, we've also got she. That's not tsu. Remember, tsu is more vertical. This is she, right? Simon. And this is the last name. I know it's sometimes used as a first name, but we can see here, this person is from, we just learned this word today in our vocab, France. Okay, we'll go over the bottom stuff in a second too. I just want to talk about the names and where they're from. Mr. Taylor's from America, United States. Miss Simone is from France. And we've got the name here. We have used this name before, but just in case you need it, the pronunciation in tiny little characters is still up there, and it is Sasaki. Miss Sasaki is from where? We just spent a very long time on this. Nihongo, from Japan. We've got your favorite, Mr. Smith. And where is he from? Igirisu. We went over that last time. Igirisu is the United Kingdom. Okay, or Britain, or Great Britain, or England, or many other things that will trigger somebody from that place. Anyway, we've also lastly got number 4, Mr. Becker, or pronounced in Japanese, Becca, and he is from, we just went over this today, Deutsch, Germany. Okay. Here's your cast for the day, and we know that Mr. Taylor is a ginkoin, right? He is a banker. And Miss Simone from France is a, what does this say? Gakusei, which is a student. And Miss Sasaki from Japan is engineer, right? We know that. She is an engineer. Mr. Smith from the United Kingdom is sensei. He is a teacher. Depending on the context, let's say he's from a university. You could also say he is a professor. Okay. And Mr. Becker from Germany. What is this? Sound it out and do your remembering. Kaishain, right? Company employee. What company does he work for and what does he do? We don't know. That always irks me in Japanese. They just say, I'm just a company employee, and that's just acceptable. I don't know that we'd ever say that in English. You'd be like, yeah, I work for blah 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 company, or I am in sales or something like that. In Japanese, it's perfectly normal to just say, I'm a company employee, and then give no further details. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. And why do you don't necessarily need to like memorize this or anything. It's here, right here, for your browsing pleasure. Because what we're going to do, and if you're following along in Minna no Nihongo, the book that I do suggest, you will see different characters with different names and different professions. So, if you follow along with me first, I'll explain how to do all of this, and you don't need the book, you can just follow my class right here with this. But if you also have the book, then after you do this, you can get bonus. You can get extra practice using your own book on your own time, at your own pace. And if you have questions with the book too, I, of course, can help you with that. Just get in touch. Drop me a line on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, here in the chat, whatever you like. Anyway, I have structured this very similarly to the book, though. So the activities are going to be mostly what the book introduces in its activities as well. Starting with number 1 here. What do we got? So one thing I want to explain, you'll see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 next to these people's names right here. What do I have next to Mr. Taylor? What is this? This is a kanji character and a parenthesis. So just ignore the parenthesis. That's just the same as what it means in English, just marking the difference between the number and the actual sentence. This character right here, which is also right here, is pronounced day. And what does it mean? It means example. You can, if you want, go and look it up. If you want to throw it in your rotation, be my guest. It's not really necessary right now, but there it is. You'll see right here, custom, practice, habit, usual, said, aforementioned, instance, example, case, illustration, usage, precedent. It has all sorts of different usages, but it's, especially if you're reading it in a textbook like this format, it's very often used when it's just by itself to mean example. Okay, that's all that's going on there. So Mr. Taylor, throughout the activities that we use this cast right here, Mr. Taylor is the example. So you're going to get, from me, the answer for his section every time. And that answer is going to show you what you should do for these, right? So, for example, if we've got Mr. Taylor here, and it says, let's sound this out. We already know this. We should be able to read this, right? Teira-san, Mr. Taylor. Wa is bucket. All right, this should all be good by now. Teira-san wa, and what is this? We've gone over this. Teira-san wa Amerikajin desu. Mr. Taylor is an American. We did this last time, right? Teira-san wa Amerikajin desu. So for number 1, we know we want to use Miss Simone. So what are we going to say for Miss Simone? Find out shortly. Because what I want you to do here, if you're following along in your notebook, is I want you to pause this if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitch, you got a couple seconds here, all right? I'll give you a few. But I want you to pause it and write this out in your notebook. And how do I want you to write it in your notebook? Format I don't care about, but basically I want you to write out I'll tell you how I did it. I always wrote the examples too, because it was just extra practice writing. If you don't want to do that, if you want to be a little lazy, fine. I recommend you write the example, and then I recommend you write just a similar setup to how I've done it here, 1, and then write out the whole sentence for Miss Simone, for Miss Sasaki, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Becker. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you should be able to tell what they want you to write by just reading the example. Okay, so press the pause button now, do your activity, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're back. If you're watching live on Twitch, that was 1 second. If not, welcome back. And here are the answers for you. So number 1, and this should be straightforward. Shimon-san wa. What is this? Well, we see we've got hito here, and it's not pronounced hito when it's compounded into the name of a country, right? We know that it's pronounced jin in that case. So we've got France, we learned today, French, right? Or, well, France, but if you put it into next to the person, French. France-jin desu. Shimon-san wa France-jin desu. Good. Sasaki-san wa. What is this? 日本人。佐々木さんは日本人です。佐々木さん is a Japanese person. スミスさん Number 3 スミスさんはイギリス人です。イギリス人です。Mr. Smith is what do you want? Let's just say Mr. Smith is English. Okay. And ベッカーさんはドイツ人です。Mr. Becker is a German person. Look at that. You did it. I'm gonna go ahead and say you did it because these were easy. If you didn't do it, you could probably figure out what you did wrong just by looking at this. It's very straightforward. We're just using the is bucket, and what are we putting inside the is bucket? The person's nationality, right? We're just saying they are a person of whatever country. Okay, that's it. So that is number 1. Number 2. Here's another activity for you. And let's check the example first, as always. Teira-san wa opening the is bucket. And this time, we don't have a nationality in here. What do we have? Well, you know this word, hopefully. We've used it so many times, ginkoin. And it's right here underneath his name. Because it means banker. We're, bank employee, bank clerk. So what does this say? Mr. Taylor is a banker. Mr. Taylor is a bank employee. Right? Teira-san wa ginkoin desu. Alright? So go ahead, press the pause, and do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, welcome back. It's I'm gonna have to get used to this on Twitch, I guess. Let's see the answers for this, shall we? Let's see what do we got going on here. Number 1. Shimon-san wa gakusei desu. Right, Miss Simone is a student. Miss Simone is a student. Straightforward, right? These will get progressively more difficult. We're just at the beginner, little baby stages here. That's why these are easy, all right? Some of you are probably thinking this is way too easy. And some of you might be like, oh, no, this is just where I'm at, all right? Sasaki-san wa engineer. This is engineer desu. Sasaki-san wa engineer desu. Sasaki-san is an engineer. All right. Smith-san. Smith-san wa open the is bucket and throw inside sensei. Smith-san wa sensei desu. Mr. Smith is a teacher. Mr. Smith is a professor. Okay. And last, Becca-san wa kaishain desu. Right? And if you still don't remember the pronunciation or the way you read it, I have it right up here for you on top. It's very tiny, but there it is. Kaishain, right? Company employee. Mr. Becker is a company employee. Or, indirectly translated, Mr. Becker works for a company. Okay? There you go. That is number 2. And you got more. Number 3. What do we got here? Now, so things are getting slightly more complicated now. So let's look at the example. We've got Taylor-san, right? Mr. Taylor. And then we've got little dot here. Remember I told you whenever you write somebody's name, you put that little dot between the first name and the last name, or if you reverse the order in Japanese, last name, first name. That little dot just tells people like, okay, these are 2 separate words. It's also, this little dot can also be used like and or slash sometimes. So what this is just saying like Mr. Taylor and or Mr. Taylor slash gakusei. So it's telling you we're giving you 2 words here and we want you to construct a sentence with these 2 words. So what have we done? Well, we see Taylor, Mr. Taylor and student, Mr. Taylor and gakusei. And what can we deduce by reading the sentence that follows? Well, it says Teira-san wa, so we open the is bucket, but we notice the is bucket here is not ending in des. This is not des, this is ja arimasen. So while des would make the is bucket mean is, again, review, ja arimasen is not, or, isn't is acceptable, obviously. So what is the sentence saying? It's saying Mr. Taylor is not a student. Teira-san wa gakusei ja arimasen. And we know that is true because look right here. It does not say gakusei underneath Mr. Taylor. It says ginkoin. He's not a student. He's a man, and he's a banker man. And he is always looking good. All right? Look, just sometimes you got to tell him because we don't know. Maybe he's having self-esteem issues working at the bank all day. We know that Miss Simone is the student here. So Mr. Taylor is not. And with that said, look, you got the same setup here. Simone-san, kaishain, right? Miss Simone, company employee. There's a little hint for you. So go ahead, pause right here, and do 1, 2, 3, and 4 in your notebook if that's the way you're following along with this class. If not, just keep on watching. Okay, so here are the answers to this one. Shimon-san wa kaishain ja arimasen. So Miss Simone is not, right? Wa ja arimasen is not a company employee. We know this is true because she is gakusei, she's a student. Okay. Number 2. Sasaki-san wa ginkoin ja arimasen. Sasaki-san wa ginkoin ja arimasen. Miss Sasaki is not, a bank employee. By the way, yes, we got a question. Yes, you could say ja nai. Sasaki-san wa ginkoin janai. Janai is just, again, we've gone over, this is the more formal / more polite. This is the more casual / default way to say the same exact thing. Okay? And on that note, the other way we have that's similarly as formal as ja arimasen, remember we have, excuse me, de wa arimasen. De wa arimasen. Sasaki-san wa ginkoin de wa arimasen. Or de wa nai also works, okay? There's many different ways to say is not, and I'd say just don't worry about it for now. Don't get that in your head like, oh, I got to remember all these different ways to say is not. No, you don't. They will come naturally if you keep continuing on learning and using Japanese. You'll know, oh, okay, this is not again, etc. For now, just follow what I'm showing you. If you want to use janai, that's even easier because it's just less characters and less things to say. So either way. All right. Number 3. Smith-san wa engineer ja arimasen. Mr. Smith is not an engineer, he is a teacher. Smith-san wa sensei desu. Remember, that's what we said? Smith-san wa engineer ja arimasen. He is not an engineer. And Dekka-san sensei. Well, we know he's not sensei, we know he is a kaishain, he's a company employee. So we would say Dekka-san wa sensei ja arimasen. Mr. Banker is not a teacher. He is not a professor. He is a company employee. Okay, why am I itchy today? Stop itching, Valen. Grammar makes me itchy. Ugh. All right, good job. Close it out, and we got time for one more today. One more in this part of the chapter, which is good because the next page after this, number 4, is actually a different set of characters that I have to finish creating. We got wait, this isn't number 3, this is number 4. Oh my god, hold on. Excuse me. You're seeing behind the scenes here. Number 4. Let's fix that real quick. That's what happens when you copy and paste things. So this is question number 4. And what do we got? Let's read the example right here. Teira-san, America Jin. So what are we doing here? Now, this is the culmination of this page, basically. We're doing 2 things. We're asking a question, and then we're answering the question. Okay? So how would I want you to do this in your notebook? Here's how I would suggest you do it. I would suggest that you write the question and the answer. It's going to give you practice writing and thinking about questions, and it's going to give you practice writing and thinking about the answer portion of it as well. And what are these ... It's just like, oh, time has passed and this person's answering it. Okay, this is not like some secret meaning in Japanese. It's just, what's that called? An ellipsis, I think. Books use this a lot too, right? Don't touch the microphone, Valen. Don't touch it. All right. So go ahead and one more thing here. You might notice that not all of these answers are going to be saying yes, right? Because what's being said here? Teira-san wa America jin desu ka? Teira-san wa America jin desu ka? So what are they saying? Remember when we got the is bucket with a question? We say is something something question mark. So we're saying, is Mr. Taylor an American? Let's go check. All right, Mr. Taylor's right here, and it says America right there. So our answer ... Thinking about it. ... I'm thinking. Hold on. Hi, America jin desu. Yes, he is. And by the way, yes, he is an American. This he is an is not in the Japanese. It's not necessary to write that in the Japanese. In English, if we wanted to sound most natural and correct, we'd probably say, yes, he is an American. Would we just say, yes, American? No, that would sound unnatural. You'd feel like you're missing something. In Japanese, you could just say, Hai, America jin desu. Yes, is American, basically. Yes, American. Okay. So let's go ahead and do these in your notebook, and look, you might find that it's asking you a question and the answer is actually no. Remember what we write for no? Iie, right? Iie means no. Just keep that in mind. So go ahead and do these right now in your notebook if you're following along. Okay. And here we go. Number 1, Shimon-san, gakusei. So we want to ask in Japanese, is Miss Simone a student? So how would you say that in Japanese? Shimon-san wa gakusei desu ka? Shimon-san wa gakusei desu ka? Give it some time, I'm thinking. Hai. Yes. Hai. Gakusei desu. Yes. Student. All right, if you were writing it in English, you'd probably say, yes, she's a student. Or you could just say yes. And by the way, in Japanese, I want to make this clear too. You do not need to say, yes, student. You could just say, hai. You could just like you could in English, you could just say, yes. That's still the answer to the question. Why are we saying, hai, gakusei desu? Because it's more practice. Because we're learning Japanese, it's more practice. But also, you could also just say this as a natural sentence in Japanese. Either way works fine. All right? So number 2, Sasaki-san, Doitsu-jin. So what do we want to know? We want to know, is Miss Sasaki a German person? Sasaki-san wa Doitsu-jin desu ka? You do your little thinking, and then you come back and you say, well, let's look. Sasaki-san, it says right there, Nihongo, Japan. So the answer is iie, no, iie, Doitsu-jin ja arimasen. No, not. Oops, why are you using a mouse? No, not a German person. And also, some of you might have said, Iie, Nihonjin desu. So instead of no, she's not a German person, you might have come back and said, no, she is a Japanese person. That's acceptable too. It's not exactly the answer that they're looking for in the book, but it's perfectly fine. Okay. Number 3. Smith-san, sensei. So let's check him. Well, it says it right there. Teacher, sensei. And we want to ask, is Mr. Smith a teacher? Smith-san wa sensei desu ka? Smith-san wa sensei desu ka? Hai. Sensei desu. Hai, sensei desu. Yes, teacher. Is teacher, right? Or in other words, natural English, yes, he is a teacher. All right, and lastly but not leastly, Mr. Becker. Becca-san, Fransujin. So what are we asking here? Is Mr. Becker a French person? Is Mr. Becker from France, right? Becca-san wa Fransujin desu ka? Becca-san wa Fransujin desu ka? Is Mr. Becker a French person? Iie. Fransujinじゃありません. No. Well, literally in this order, it would be no, French person, not, right? Again, that's how Japanese grammar works. No, he is not a French person is how you would obviously write it in English. Because we can see right here that he is a German person, because it says Deutsche. All right? And again, you could also say this. Is Mr. Becker a French person? Becca-san wa Fransujin desu ka? And you could answer with Iie, Deutschjin desu. No, he's a German person. So you could say, no, he's not a French person, or you could actually be helpful and tell the person what they actually probably want to know, which is, well, what is he? And you could, say, no, he's a German person. He's German, right? Okay. So these are the activities for today. Hopefully you were able to do these on your own in your notebook. If not, and you weren't able to, and you still don't really understand why certain things are the way that they are, drop me a comment, drop me a message. I will do my best to clear that up for you. Okay, but so far I think should be straightforward. We're using the is bucket a lot. You're getting a lot of practice with wa and des, and also des ka for asking questions, right? We're also practicing a lot of ja arimasen for not, and we're also using hai for yes, ie for no. Okay, we're also practicing people's names and san, because we always want to use miss or Mrs., even though that's not technically what they mean in Japanese. It's just an honorific added to any name, regardless, because sometimes we don't add miss or Mrs. in English, or Mr. or anything, but you almost always want to in Japanese, right? And we're also practicing nationalities this time. Deutschjin, Fransujin, Amerikajin, right? Nihonjin for Miss Sasaki there. Igirisjin for Mr. Smith. And next time we'll be continuing on with more practice sentences. And I'm also thinking I want to start the vocabulary for the next chapter as we're working on this chapter's activities, this chapter's practice. So that as we start shifting into the next chapter, you can already start having a base of the vocab ready. So next time, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do more grammar as well. And that about wraps it up for today. So let me say thank you very much to a bunch of beautiful people here. Who do we got? I want to say thank you to Shadow528, Lily R. Man, or Lily Erman, Lily R. Man, Siham00, Noise Phoenix, K-Boy Fluff, and Shangwen Ren, or, well, is that Chinese? Are you pronouncing that Chinese? Shangwen Ren? Okay, thank you very much. And also, Brian says, thanks for your Japanese instruction videos, and has dropped the $3.33 tip to his pal, Valen. Brian, thank you very much. Much appreciated for the tips. Brian says, thanks for your Japanese instruction videos. And I say to Brian, thank you for watching my Japanese instruction videos. And I hope that they're useful for you. And you know what, Brian, you're always welcome here. All the rest of you followers, you're always welcome here too. Thank you very much for the money. I do love money, Brian. Thank you. You know what you get? You get boom, explosion, just for you. All right. That's about it for today. Okay, so hey, you know what, you guys, appreciate you. Hope to see you again next time. In between now and next class, if you're following along with Minna no Nihongo, the book, and you did today's lesson with me here on the Valen Hark show, whatever this is called, Learn Japanese, that's, yeah. Then you can also go and write out, do it exactly the same, the chapter or the activities from chapter 1 in Minna no Nihongo. So I do suggest, look, if you want homework, if you want to keep practicing in between lessons from me, I suggest you go and do that. If you're not following along with the book, hey, no problem. Keep it up with me here on the channel and you'll be fine. Okay, that's it for now. So you have yourself a good day or evening or whatever. I'll see you next time. So take care.